Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Balaji. We have a lot of interesting topics to talk about today. And just like it's a ever evolving ecosystem, right? So it's always nice to catch up and talk to things you've learned in the last week or so and for me to share. So let's get started. I can't wait to talk about our topics. But before we do that, how are you doing today? How's everything in your side of the world?
Absolutely. Again, summer is on full speed. It's on the peak, right? The sea breeze has stopped, so we are cooking here in LA. But other than that, I think everything looks up and up. It's bright and sunny. You can go to the beaches. It's good times. So I'm happy.
And it's always cooking in the AI world. I can tell you that much. There's never a dearth of new things happening on almost a daily basis. So I think the summer is definitely heating up the AI market too. So let's get started on that one.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I wanted to talk to you about one of the topics, which is the chameleon. So we've seen Midjourney; it generates photorealistic images. We've seen Bard can describe what's in the image. But what Chameleon, which is a new foundation model from Meta, can do is both text to image and then image to text, right? So, of course, pronounced as Chameleon, it can generate images and it sits between the Midjourney and DALI and edit photos like after the color. You can do edit photos with just text prompts, place objects with precision. That you can say, hey, put a sink in the coordinate, like put a sun in here. You can actually do that with coordinates and create captions to answer questions about his images. So the interesting part about this is it's a very innovative and so far it's not been commercialized. But I think Chameleon is almost like a superpower that you can have. Is combining multimodals and is proficient text and image. It could be a big unlock for like advertisers, marketers, and journalists to be able to generate images and have a conversation. So all under one umbrella. So I know you've been playing with a lot of these tools. Do you have any thoughts on Chameleon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when the news came out, I read the article. Just so everybody's clear, I don't think there is anything out there that we can play with. I first looked for, hey, this is exciting. Let's go play with it. Right? There's nothing out there. It's just a news article or a press release from Meta, right? But from the looks of it, the features are very enticing, right? You're right in the sense that yeah, we have been doing image editing painfully through the mouse and keyboard and click and copy, cut and paste. I think a lot of this is becoming obsolete with the ability to type and probably in the future, the ability to talk to an image and say, hey, move this to the, remove the background, remove the dog or add a cat, whatever. So I think this is becoming very seamless experience for people to modify these images and interact. It's going to be fun. I would love to get my hands dirty with this technology, but I don't think anything exists yet. It's just a press release so far. So
Yes. Again, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about it. There's a lot of feature consolidation and just making it easier instead of having like four different tools to play with it. Maybe tools like this is going to become where features all get rolled up and are familiar. Just using prompts to change these things are gonna become more cleaner and easier. Because I was reading about some of these folks who work in the Fiverr and other agencies where they just do like a piecemeal designs and design 99 design. So what is increased is I looked at the before and after as well as what it costs them to do by themselves versus using AI as a companion to be able to do some of this, and a significant reduction in their time. But again, as a creator, I want to also own my individuality. So now they're offering these options to their customers, and they see there's a lot of demand for AI created art with a little bit of influence from the creators, right? So I just feel like this will help folks who are maybe you don't get $100 an image, but now you can generate 50 images at $20 a pop. So I just feel like if they don't adapt to this, they're gonna have a hard time keeping up. But I can feel tools like this is gonna go a long way in that creative marketplace.
Yeah, 100%. I think first wave of it is going to be most common operations like remove backgrounds or add a mustache or just for a meme or something like that, right? But you're still going to need the expert to do a good job at very complex edit jobs. So I think it's going to be fun. This whole process of how far can AI help? I'm eager to see because I don't believe that it can eliminate the human completely, but probably human in the loop again, right? The whole process.
Yes, I think that's where we are. It's getting a little bit clearer as it stands where the product is as far as maturity. Human in the loop is the only way to actually move this forward, from what I see. What happens 10 years from now, we don't know, but that's what I think the best return on investment is, where you use as a co-pilot or companion to do what things you can do. So moving on to the next item, I know we've approached the AI landscape a few episodes ago, but I think it's such a evolving landscape, and but what I wanted to focus a little bit more on from is the building blocks. Basically, when we look at it, there's a lot of excitement around the app layer of it, and people are like, "Oh my God!" Almost something new comes up. But if you kind of step back and look at the essential building blocks, the picks and shovels on how things are going, starting with the semiconductor layer, the foundation models, and kind of built on it. As an entrepreneur, you can see all the different opportunities in different layers. As a consumer of this, also, you can see all these different companies in different layers of this pyramid. Uh, but I fully expect, if you look at this image a year from now, either consolidation or new companies replacing the ones here. So it'll be good to come back to this every so often, maybe once a quarter or once every 6 months, just to see all the new things are happening. But it's a great view for me specifically, to be able to see all these foundation layers and where can you add value, or where, even if you want to go work for one of these companies, where do you fit in this, right? With everything going, this particular image just gives me a nice structure.
Yeah, it's a great starting point. I do feel like there's a lot of layers here, like about nine. Maybe some of them will consolidate, or some service will mask and become its own layer. But yeah, like I said, it's a great start to start looking at where the lines of demarcation are. What are the places where the field is developing and improving, right? I think it's all inclusive from model safety to all the way down to the hardware layer.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of inflection points that I see where some of the models are doing like personal AI for everyone, uh, and then the semiconductor is, who's the somebody, Apple is investing in its own chips design. There's so much happening in this space that it's good to have like a roadmap or a vision to be able to see all of that. So I'm definitely want to come back to this to see how these layers evolve and how some of the businesses within that evolves for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll move on to the next topic, and this is what came out a couple of days ago. Is Chat GPT custom instructions. Okay, so why is this important to me? It's important because when we interact with Chat GPT, depending on the prompt we use, we might get the same answers, but it's a more generic answer, right? To be able to, this feature that they just turned on as in the beta mode is where you can provide some information to ChatGPT. So the conversations that are happening happens in your tone, for example. You don't want to supply any private information into this, but if you're somebody who says, "Hey, I like shorter answers," or "I'm very opinionated about this and these are my interests," let's feed that information into the custom instructions. So when we interact with Chat GPT, it remembers that and gives you answers in line with that. So I feel like that's a great improvement, and I think it's going to continue to improve, because I think, for example, Google Gmail has so much content about the way you tone and the way you communicate. If you ask it to create one, it will create an email that looks like you wrote it, right? So the more context you provide, the better the output's going to be. So I'm curious to see. I know you've been playing around with it, so I want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. When I first saw this feature, the immediate thought is, okay, this is the beginnings of OpenAI trying to customize things to your taste, right? And it's a small step, but you can already see, right? If they're taking a few lines of personal information at a time, right now there's only one set of personal information you're feeding. But imagine if you're giving a time series as you go through life and you're giving time series personal information. Now it's becoming a system where not only it's custom and tailor made to you from time X to time Y, right, in a time window. Uh, Other thing you're doing is you're actually virtualizing yourself over time. So it's very fun to look at it, right? You're giving little by little a piece of you to this system, and you are becoming a person inside the computer. That's how I see it. Transcending, right? You're slowly transcending into
Yes.
the that movie. It's actually, yeah, that's how it is. Slowly becoming. It's becoming a reality, right? Eventually, they'll fast forward it. They'll say, "Give me your life history from YouTube, and I'll import it." And everything is tailor made to whatever you have been going through in life.
And a lot of administrative tasks, not even administrative, some things that you're too lazy to respond to. You can't tell the difference between who wrote it. So I think we are not too far away from those days.
Exactly. All right, cool. I'm sharing a screen where a normal chat GPT without this feature enabled, and basically ask the question, how do I start AI consulting business in my hometown? Obviously, this doesn't
Okay.
know where I live, what I do, so it just gives a very standard response, and not tailor made to my preferences. Though the information is there, it's personally I feel it's too lengthy. So what I
Yes.
did, I used the feature here and I gave it basic. Um, Look at this one. So I gave it some idea as to what I am like, right? I'm based out of LA, founder, entrepreneur, likes to watch movies, play chess. Again, just basic information. How would like ChatGPT to respond? I want it to be semi-formal. I want it to be sharp and crisp responses. I would like to be addressed as Mr. Bellagio just to play with it. Remain neutral. Because over time people call me anywhere from Balahi to Mr. B to Bellagio, so it's always fun. I never know when I walk into a meeting what people are going to call me, right? So it's always fun.
So at least you're standardizing it to Bellagio. Got it. Okay.
That's the fun one, right? It's more Vegas style.
That's funny.
All right.
Okay.
So let's see what it does, right? How would I start a consulting business in my hometown? The first thing I saw was it's addressing me, which is good. Then there is Los Angeles here, so that's also good. So it's now starting to customize, and we can see
Yes.
this responses are not very wordy; they are like concise and crisp. So I think
You
it's
wanted
giving
a concise
yeah,
answers, right? Yeah.
correct. So I think it passes the sniff test. I'm going to play more, but I think for the purpose of this live show, just did a few things to see how it works, and seems like fun. Right now, you have
Yeah, it
tailor
is, and I
made.
think you barely scratch the surface, right? Because I think it required you could use up to 1,500 characters for input about you and the way you want the style. Like basically, it's almost like prompt engineering within that to give it as much content as you want. So you barely have
Correct.
given anything; it's already customizing it to your output and your location and your style. So that's very cool.
And this is also opening up the window if someone wants to build application on top of this. If this is available through this is all beta feature, let's imagine this is available through API. We can present it to someone as a customizable experience with AI, right? So let's say a chat bot that responds to a type of customer in certain way. We can give all kind of basic inputs like demographics. Let's say uh, this is a Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z, and these are all the attributes of this personality, and then respond when you see this type of demographics. Respond. I mean, you can take it to a fine grain level like this, but I am imagining, what about a group of people, what about a demographics? And that's probably much more useful in a sense, like when you tell certain people like to be spoken to a certain way. So it's going to be fun, like ethnicities or religion, all kind of cross section, how you divide data and how you customize, right? This is the fine grain level. What do I know about you? But you can take that and extend it and play with it. I'm eager to see how the API shapes up, and I'll play with it.
The use cases, I'm excited about the use cases, right? But for example, I was thinking if it's a chatbot on an Indian restaurant website, and you can
Exactly.
basically give all the, you can build that to be that has enough information about food and things to try, and then the conversation will go way different than a generic chatbot that you're talking
Generic
to.
bot.
So yes,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, that's going to be way more interesting to. I'm eager to get my hands on it as soon as I can. Maybe I have API access. I have to go play with it. It's a paid account, so I'm hoping some of the beta features are available.
that was definitely exciting. So okay, we could talk about this for the next 2 hours. So let's move on to the next one, Llama 2. So Meta announced the launch of Llama 2, the next edition of the open source model. It has three sizes, 7 billion, 13 billion, and 70 billion parameters, and is trained on 2 trillion tokens. So why is this important? Why am I excited about it? It's fully open. Basically means anybody can build on it, basically do whatever they want versus paying OpenAI for every use. And it's as good as at least Chat 3.5. And it's a open model that feels like at least some competition. We say about this almost on a daily basis. Claude felt like it was competition. Now we see this, but we also know that Llama is a pretty good model already. So this version, so business can need, if they need customized models, right? You can take the base model, add your own data. It's just like just add water. So you have the model, you add your data, and then you can build applications for your business without having to worry about giving your data to open, right? Even my company worked for that said, hey, if you're going to use anything, there was a incident where somebody entered information and became public information, right? So you have to be very clear on. You can take the whatever you can't do with ChatGPT. You can take this, add your data, and voila, you can build models and keep it all private, right? So I think from a business perspective, is going to be one of the key things. You can tinker with it and still know that your data is secure within it. So I'm excited about the options that have been opened up by this model.
Yeah, 100%. I think the first version did not, I believe it did not grant commercial access, and it was a little bit inferior. I'm eager to see how this performs as if it's as good as ChatGPT 3.5, because the previous one probably was working close to the prompts, but it was moving around a bit, hallucinating. So hopefully this one is a much better version and a useful version. But the key is, like you said, the commercial, can people actually use it? And that also means it has to be good enough for me to use it. Just because it's free, it doesn't mean anything. And hopefully this this version is good enough. And most importantly, I want to personally see how this steps up in the training process, because uh, we talk about this a lot, right? The value is in the personal data, how you bring it into these models, train and fine tune. So the question is, how easy is this to fine tune and get your data going?
Yes.
So those two factors, I think, if they check, I think it's definitely a viable commercial use.
So just because you said that, right? Scale AI is releasing Scale LLM engine to fine tune open source models. So it was
Very good.
timed with the Llama 2 launch. So there's basically Scale has open sources with multiple resources on fine tuning Llama. So they'll offer a service for enterprise customers who want to scale data engine to build custom LLM. So we already see the partnership or the other tools we could use to scale, fine tune it. So
Yeah,
again,
it's a divide
like
and
I
conquer,
said,
right? I think training can be done on any LLM. It makes sense to build a platform. Fantastic. Scale AI. I'll keep that on the radar. Yeah,
perfect. All right, kick us
great.
off for the next one.
Langsmith. So Langsmith essentially is cheering on towards production use cases, right? I think when it's an evolution, right? We first were curious, we were playing with it. Now use cases are emerging. Now um, we are wondering what kind of tools we need to support this in a production grade environment. When it's playing with proof of concepts and prototypes, it's one thing, but when you take it to a customer, you need a lot of things like monitoring. You need a way to look up the logs and search through, debug. find out issues and optimize. So a lot of these tools are starting to shape up, right? So it's getting there where enterprises or small medium companies can probably take their use case to production level readiness, because you have to close that feedback loop where you have eyes on the system, you are able to monitor, you're getting alerts, you're able to debug and fix problems, and patching and updating. All kind of things come into play when you're actually working with the production software to give that sense of reliability. And most of the cloud software is now hoping to get 99.99, like two nines is kind of the standard. In coming from a telecom world, it used to be four nines after decimal. Now it's all two nines after decimal. Um, to achieve that, you need a lot more. I think these guys are getting to that stage, right? So it all says one thing, right? There are possibly some use cases identified. People are getting ready to take it to production.
Correct. And I think what's interesting about this is, right, to your point, like you and I can play around as much as we want, but if you want to make it enterprise quality products to be developed and maintained and monitored and updates, we need a tool like this to support it. So nobody who values their job is going to release anything into their environment until there's a robust support behind it. So tools like this, as the industry is maturing, it just makes sense. The tools are like this available, and again, these are things that we work on, we build on, and we, as you and me, are excited about helping other companies. So if you're a company, and again, we get a lot of these requests to help with people, because a lot of executives in the small and medium business space, they all are excited about AI, but they don't know how to implement it, right? Or where do we even start? So if you are one of them, you've at least have 10 million to 50 million in revenue, and you want to at least think about, hey, okay, I want a roadmap, I want a opportunity to see what are some of the options, where do I start, or how do I know there's options to hire people, I can train my people, but I still need a roadmap to understand what are some places, where do I start, right? So those kind of questions are things we are fielding. So if you guys are interested, we'll be glad to see if it fits into our portfolio of companies we can help. But I think tools like this that we just talked through is customizing, Langsmith. These are great building blocks for you to use in your company to be able to build a roadmap. And again, the biggest question is, where do I start? There's so much options you see. Where do I start? And I think that's where we can absolutely help our audience with that.
100% right. Yeah.
Perfect. So that was great. And I know we've ran through a lot of topics quickly. So if anybody has any questions, put in the comments. We'll be glad to engage with you guys and answer it. We'll come back next episode with even more fun topics. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.